Now that spring is in full swing, we are inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside. When we're in, we're working on electrical. We've got a whole host of projects we're doing outside when it's not raining. Everything from working on the deck and its railings and roof, to exterior electrical, to working on restoring this old trailer, hopefully to get it sold, and even protecting some plants from getting ravaged by the deer. My helper and I are getting this old jack taken off of this trailer. We've got a block to hold up the weight, and that's off the ground. And after a great deal of experimentation, we determined these old bolts are 9/16, like that, right? Keep trying. Try some more. You can play with it if you want. So we're going to be working with a 5,000-pound Bulldog brand jack here to replace what we already had. And one thing I can tell you I like already is that this is a little thicker gauge than we previously had. So same style other than that, and should be just a simple swap out. Electrical out of the way there. Matches up to the holes the exact same way. Got the sticker on the front on the same triangle. So now we're just going to put these, excuse me, thank you. Put these back on the way they were. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and fix while we're at this, although we're not dealing with the paint, at least not yet. We may not at all, but I am going to go ahead and get some washers on these because they're barely within that slot. They're just barely holding on. Now, see this? You put this on here. Can you fit that little piece that you have in your hand through the hole? Right through there. Nope, not this part. The other half. The big piece. Yeah. Get through that hole. You want me to help? Okay. Oh. Hard-headed as your dad. So then see this? This piece here goes over that on this part. Look, gotta look. You see what I'm doing? Watch this. Clip. There you go. And then we reattach the stand. All right, so until we decide to paint this, we're all wrapped up. Got some washers on here. I got it nicely tightened down, good connection. And the base was fine. Clark, you want to demonstrate how it turns and lifts it up? Keep going. Spin it round and round and round as far as you can go. Other way. Nope, wrong way. Yep, you're going the right way the first time. It's going to lift the trailer up. Keep going. Put both arms into it. You're doing it. Good job, buddy. Damien, what do you think about that job?
I think it was good.
So I'm pretty sure I bought more of these than I'm actually going to end up using. Unless I choose to use these for our soffits as well, which I may. And even then I may have more than I'm going to use. So that's awkward. I am going to be using these on the exterior of our house. Let me show you what I've bought here. So this is great for new work. And the kit basically has everything you need except for the plug. So this goes into the wall. And it's got, on the one hand, your standard Romex wire in. And on the other hand, it has the same, plus you can see that it's got some punch outs in case that's the kind of wiring you're doing. We'll just be using the Romex. And on the outside, you have this exterior flange that will fit to your siding. Let me show you how these electrical boxes are going to work and why I chose to buy these ones versus a different one. So this piece is your siding flange. It fits into the side pockets there, and you've got that channel around the outside you can install against your sheathing. And then you basically have to router out this. I'm going to put this on the wall where I want it to be, mark it, cut it, and then put this on. And then this actually goes up against that with that rubberized gasketed seal, and then you screw the two of them into the siding with these 4 screw holes. They do have extras in case you need to use one of those, but whether you're doing in horizontal or vertical, this is, you know, the standard placement. And then this piece basically is going to fit into that cavity, and it has a corner for your wire to come out, and it satisfies all the requirements of needing to have your exterior receptacles enclosed because of water. So the first thing to look at is placement. We need to make sure that we are placing these receptacles where they need to be, and basically on either your front and your back porch, your steps, entry, whatever that looks like, 1 receptacle required, and it can't be higher than 6.5 feet. There isn't a minimum height. So let me show you where we were putting ours. Here's our, for orientation's sake, here's our dining kitchen area. That's our laundry, dining. Right here is 1 porch, if you will. So we're gonna put one right here, kind of centered in. We're accompanied by my son's delightful bears. That's what those are, if you're wondering. Or maybe they were mice, not really sure. In any case, and I've driven, as I like to do, just a big nail through there so we can get a bearing on the other side. All right, and here is the outside porch, and there's our nail. Right along a nailing as expected. And so we're just gonna give that the height that we're desiring. And I'm gonna make it off of this tray down here, I think. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna get this lined up on the interior corner. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that off. And we know we need to cut more than this in order for that to fit in there. See if we can not mess this up too badly. Okay, so our exploratory hole says we are indeed in the right spot. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can run this around and cut that out without too much difficulty. And if it looks like I'm having trouble, I may switch over to a Sawzall. Yeah, I think I may have destroyed this bit or something. I am going to switch to a Sawzall for this. This guy's just a little too aggressive. Now this is a job I wish I still had my subcompact for. Obviously I murdered that poor thing with the heavy duty work I was trying to make it do, but it would be better suited to this. So we put 2 in through here, and these are structural screws, and they are exterior rated. They are 2.5 inch long, so they're well into that stud. And the rest of it, I'm just going to use these 1.5 inch long screws, the shortest one I have on hand, that are exterior rated. Go ahead and flash this the same way I would flash anything else. And in this particular case, I am going to flash the bottom, unlike a window.
That's quite a box. My goodness.
It's perfect, right? Does everything you need it to.
Yeah.
So we've got our flange, it's nicely sealed, it's got a rubberized gasket in here. There's very few spots for air to get in other where it has to. And then this box is also sealed. And when it's shut, you know, I mean, it's
And I like that it doesn't stick out nearly as much as some outdoor boxes do.
I really searched for one that was only gonna stick out this far.
Instead of 6 inches out into your walk space.
Yeah, and I think 2 of these screws probably are actually for this. Yeah, there we go. So this side is already being compressed because you have these 2 screws that angle into your stud. If you have a stud there. So I'm not going to bother with those. At least I don't feel like I need to. I could.
I mean, if you have extra screws left over, then.
So I'll probably just put them into where they're going to go eventually anyway, the other 2. And then when we're ready to do this outlet for reels, I can move them to this side or just put them on the 2 other sides.
No, that's a really great design. I'm glad you found that.
Yeah.
It did. So Jeremy's putting in some posts around the apple trees so that the deer don't get in and eat them this year, and hopefully we'll get a few apples off of them, just enough to tell what they're going to taste like. This over here is the apple that we've already done. The wire doesn't go all the way up, but this way we can kind of move it as the tree grows.
Balance this long stick.
Good job, Clark.
The only thing is about balance is
So Casey actually had a really great idea, and it's more common than I'm going to redo that one. Sorry, it came out wrong. So Casey had a really great idea. I was pondering over earlier how to get all of these lights to look good in this hallway in the 2nd floor, and essentially had settled on them being in a line but not having them be centered to the hall, and it was really bugging me. So
and that would really bug me.
yes. And then your other option, if you want them in the ceiling in that circumstance, is either to cut a hole in your joist and then treat it like a toilet or something like that and treat it that same way and block it off, which that's a whole lot of work for not that much benefit, honestly. And then the other option would be to have them not in a row, purposely have like 2 on one side and then 1 on the other side of that center joist. And I really don't like that either. So Casey's idea,
Wall sconces.
wall sconces. I forgot about that entirely. And I actually really love wall sconces. There's an old video game that I like to play called Lands of Lore, and there's a joke in it made by a 4-headed creature or 4-armed creature called a Bactrian, talking with the main character named Michael. And Michael, of course, is kind of dumb, and he says something like, look at those wall scones. And I'm always like, wall scones? I want a wall scone dispenser, but I guess we'll settle for wall sconces.
That works.
Nice sunny day outside today, and we've got our top on both sides. So over there, they're just tucked up underneath there. You can see that they're kind of going to be hidden in the corners, so you won't really see them, but they'll be great for doing Christmas lights and any other like deck lights we want to do. Just really perfect. We also have both sides, got that guy, and then over here on this side, there's one over there as well. So we're pretty much wrapped up on this porch. Now the front porch and this porch are done. That just leaves what's below where we're standing right now, a couple of them, and then all of our outside plug boxes will be in. They go nicely into the wall, and they have a corner cord exit point, and I think that's just perfect. So they can be put on their side, they can be flipped as these are upside down to where the cord's going to be going up. I really like them. This is what those look like on the inside, those uppers. So I did add a little piece of blocking for myself, and that kept it off of that beam, which of course stacks onto this beam post. So it kept it off of the beam, enabling me to be able to attach this on two faces, and then I don't really have to worry. I mean, it's not as good as insulation for sure, but makes me feel like it's a lot sturdier. These screws, I'll be taking an oscillating tool to, a multi-tool, and I'll buzz those flush with the sheathing. And then when we go to finish this out, it's gonna be probably some combination of spray foam, caulk, and or tape to try and seal up these air holes. These are nice tight boxes as far as boxes go, but sure ain't perfect, and that's to be expected. Another beautiful day. We've got railing going up here today. I got this piece here. This was the one I had to order. It was a little bit more than 12 foot, so there's a large cutoff from the 16 foot that was available, but that's fine. I'll have somewhere else I can use it. So we started on this end. and went ahead and, got it to level with the board we had previously. Lagged in 2 bolts through the outside, and then went to the middle, and we got it to where our post was straight up and down, nice and plumb, and then made sure that we were flushed on either side. And with the warp of this board and everything else going on at the time, that meant that this piece was out to about here. We got that secured in to 3/8 equivalent lags through the top, same as we did on the other posts in the deck that we already done. And now we're getting this last one ready to anchor in as well. So that's connected in, those 2 bolts are through, we're done on that side. And now we have this piece here. And this is a little complicated because there's some warp to this post, and you can see we're more or less flush, maybe minus 1/8. And then over here, it's a full-on 1/4 or even 3/8 to get that to match up. And this post is also leaned outwards a little bit. So in order for us to make this connect in and look nice, I'm going to need to first put a block in here to force this post to come outwards, and then I can drive my screws down. I might be able to get it by hand. I might try that first, since then I don't have to waste the time of the other. But all right, so we're flushed up on this edge here and bumped off where we need to be. There is a little bit of warp in this post. That's part of what's causing this. I'm going to get this flush. It is mostly this post here, so I'm going to go ahead and drive that in, and then when I'll screw that into the post, it's going to have to be smaller screws through the sides here. Now you can see I've just used a single on each side here, and these are just struck screws. They're doing a pretty nice job of keeping this in here. They're 3.5 inch struck screws, and there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure on this. So we're at the top of the house now, and got a bit of a rain going on, if you can hear that. We're going to be running all this area as plugs, and this is the entry point, this little guy right here. So right down there is the power coming into the house, and it's easy for me to get up to this point, and from here I can go multiple directions. Probably going to take it through, because there's a lot of wood up there. Might take it up along the rafter, and then I should just be able to jump it over, that's above the insulation, and then come down to get to there on that first plug over here. But long story short, I'm starting with these home runs. It'll knock out most of what I need as far as stuff that's actually going to be in the way of anything else. It'll really clarify where we're at too. I'm going to use a 3/4 bit on all of these, even though I don't expect there to be another wire coming through this same hole that I'm going to have coming up. I might have to go back down to run over to one of these. For example, there's got to be a plug in this wall, so maybe I'll bring it there. I don't know yet, and long story short, easier to drill a hole with a little bit wider width, be able to run 2 wires through it, than to drill a hole that's 5/8 or half and then not. So one of the unfortunate things about this attic, trying to film electrical work, is that I don't yet have the electrical work needed to make it to where you can see anything in here. So I'm gonna try. The film hasn't come out great so far, but we're gonna do our best here. All right, so you can see I've got a laser line set up. I basically just took this window in the same spot on the far window over there. I know those to be accurate within 1/2 inch. And so just, put your laser there, make it line up over there, and that gave me a nice drill through line to be able to run electrical for the lights in this room. We're gonna do 4 lights, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna take them off of the switch, up, go over to the first one, run along, come over to here, run over, get the last one. Just a nice S shape, least amount of wire used, least amount of holes. So this is something I'm going to show you, and I don't know whether it's going to get approved or not. I think it should be fine, but we'll see what the inspector says. So this is, as you can see, my rafters come, basically they're not notched to where they sit on this piece. They're basically attached in via these boards. And in the shear wall inspection, I described that to him, and he said it should be fine. without any additional hardware through here. But it does mean, on a positive note and a negative note, that this interchange between this wall and this ceiling are kind of weird. I did it on purpose. Let me tell you why. So the reason I did that with these on both sides was in part a matter of convenience and a part a matter of, like, that's basically where, I could have either brought that wall up higher or left it as it is and just had it touch each of those rafters and then attached it in that way. And I chose to do that in part because I don't want to have to fur these down. And there's actually a fair expense involved in furring down rafters that much. And what I mean by that is right now they are, 9.25, and I need at least an inch, if not an inch and a half of air clearance, since we're going to be running a continuous vent up on the peak from the bottom on each of the sides. And so what I'm trying to do there is I'm going to take a 2-inch foam board and, it'll go all the way across underneath the layer of regular insulation that's going to get stuffed up into that cavity. And we're not going to make R49. I'm thinking we're going to be something like R42. The requirement, I believe, is only R30 on these ceilings that are cathedral style. They have they're not, it's not a joisted ceiling through there. It is right above me. You can see that, but it's not where these walls are. So there's gonna be a 2-inch foam board that's gonna tuck down into there, and that pretty much eliminates that extra space. And then the drywall will go under that, and then it will just butt up from below, and it's gonna come together, from what I'm measuring, pretty close to perfect. So it does work out, but what it meant for electrical, you can see I've basically turned it into a raceway. And so that's the question, that I'll have for the inspector is he gonna have a problem with that? I don't know. If he will, then I'll just have to punch through every last one of these studs instead of doing the way I have it. I like it this way a lot better. I think that it really works quite well this way. Less wire used, more controlled. I feel like they're safer this way, but we'll see what he says. So this guy here is a stair light. So is that one, and so is this one down here. We got a 3-way switch, wire coming from there, comes up, over into here. This guy is gonna flip, go up, and then I've just looped them, the first 2, and then that's a little bit wasteful potentially on the wire, but it lets me get these LEDs wherever I need them to in this space, and I don't have to worry about cutting it right now. So I actually feel like it's maybe even more efficient. And obviously there's one more light here, and that's just gonna be, there's gonna be possibly a light there, and then this little hallway here, one, and then one above my head. And then that's gonna be kind of the lighting for this half. We're gonna run a separate light over for here, possibly gonna be like a reading nook, might be a future bath. It is right next to the stack. We do have to go down through and underneath the beam to get into that stack for anything other than venting, but it's still very close and very convenient. So this might be a future bath, and I want to wire it kind of in mind with that. So this is a plug that we're kind of taking off, and then potentially going to attach it in to a bath down below, because you can run just bathroom plugs, only bathroom plugs. So obviously if I do that, then that one's got to be a bathroom. So this light over here is what this is, this 14 wire. That's actually from the bathroom down below, and I've just pulled it in and it goes down, and then I've actually run it in this weird shape just to give myself a legal amount of extra wire, to where if we were to close this off as a bathroom, I've marked off where the wall is. I can easily pull that into the wall and out to a switch box later on if we choose to do that. For the time being, this light will be the only light that serves this space. I decided not to run down into the floor below either, just because I felt like that could potentially interfere with some of the plumbing and stuff that's going on down there. That was another option for that space, since it is within the two beams big beams on either side under the attic pony walls. But in this particular case, I figured one wire, not too bad. My niece left us with some beautiful artwork on these upper windows when they came to visit. There we go. So I walked this guy out. I pulled it through right there. It's also got to go over to there on that end. Pulled it through, got myself a whole lot of extra here. Brought it up through here, down to the switch. So our next step now is that's where it's going to be, roughly speaking. So here, I've got to bring it through and then stick a loop over. And then it's going to sit there to where I can center that wherever I want it in that spot. We'll go over here, do the same thing here, one more over there, and then the end needs to hit that side. So this is one area where I would use a service loop. This is a door coming up over here. I only have one stud here, and I don't know if that's actually going to work. Even with just an attic access door, I haven't designed the door yet. I might need to pull it off and bring it over. You know, so I'm leaving myself extra wire. You know, I might have to like box it over to get it out of the way for trim on the inside or the outside, or who knows. So got a service loop there, and you can see less than 12 inches of extra within the same distance as every other staple needs to be to the box. So we're all good to go there. So even though I ordered over 100 of the single gang boxes, we still ended up a couple short. Managed to get those. We're gonna get the last, hopefully, I think one installed. I bought a few extras just in case up here in the attic. And then we're also gonna get the 2 attic light boxes installed. And then the attic is pretty much done electrically. So this is what it looks like when you just pull. You can see I've still got this in there wrapper. When you just pull a wire from the center, this is what it tends to do. And all those curly cues sure make that wire harder to pull. So you can see that it's really twisted right up in there. And when that goes through a hole, especially with another wire, it can be really hard to pull through. And you know, it's gonna be hard to staple and all that stuff. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I don't need this full length, it's not coming down. It's actually gonna go right up to here for a light, but that's why I choose to do it the other way. And I think it's pretty easy to see the benefits of having a straight line.
In our next episode,
So we're gonna try and get Jeremy through this very small opening, since we've taken up part of the opening for our pig passageway. But he has some work he wants to do in the pasture.
But I'm super excited that, you know, we're really close now to being able to actually start getting in here and finishing, you know, our transformation of this landscape.
Tucky, we're gonna stay out of the pasture.
thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.